generational wealth is about packaging the values that have worked for you as a family and passing them on to the next generation.
Wow. In a relationship, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
You should provide your partner with the comfort that he needs to be able to actually give his best.
Yeah.
So I struggled to identify different role models as I was growing up.
It's not a competition.
Wow.
It's
Say
a
that again.
partnership.
Say that again.
It's not a competition. It's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
Welcome, viewers. This is your host, Joyce GIKUNJU, inspirational speaker, published author, and podcast show host. And this is the Bounce Back Podcast, your self-help business show for the entrepreneur in you.
Good morning. It's another beautiful day where we talk about authentic conversations. This is the Bounce Back channel, home to Bounce Back Books, an independent publishing house that focuses on the African story told through the African lens. Today, I am excited to have with me in studio a person whose story has caught the attention of many media houses. So what is it about his story that is capturing the attention of so many people? I'm about to introduce him, but more importantly, is his backstory. When you think about the stories you read in the newspaper about children who are abandoned, have you ever asked yourself, where do these children end up? What is their story and how do they pull themselves back up? How do they bounce back? How do they rise? And how do they stay on top? Today we have one such guest. Abandoned, but today his story is one moving story about the true thing called resilience, intentionality, and just living life without saying, I am from a poor background. Because like they're saying in social media, after 30, you are the background. With me in studio is Joseph IHA, known to many as Joe. Joe came to me last year saying he has a manuscript, but he didn't know that his manuscript was going to turn into a book that would be read by many, and he would end up being admired by many people. What I like about the client that I'm interviewing today, Joe, is that he's an old Cambrian. Old Cambrian means he went to Nairobi School, which is known as Patch. And I'm a proud old mummy of one such child who went to Nairobi School. And so I know how that school turns boys into men. How did it feel, Joe, to hold your book for the first time in your hand, knowing that all you brought us was a manuscript?
Well, it's a great feeling because, you know, when you have put your manuscript together, you have poured your all into writing, and you're not sure how it's going to turn out. So when you give it to a publisher, and thank you for Bounce Back, you did a great job. When it came out, you could not believe it's the same manuscript that you had handed it over. It's a great feeling. It's a wow feeling. And I think most importantly also is the feedback and testimonials that you're getting from people who are interacting with the book and saying, you know, giving different testimonies of how it's impacting their lives and how it's helping them change their thought process. And so it's a great feeling. And for me personally, it's a great milestone because I had my dreams, and one of the dreams was to write a book.
Yes.
In the end. And it took time. You know, you can have an idea, you want to write a book, but then there are all these ideas. But when I retired and sat down with my family, my children, in the process of interaction, then he said, you know what, let's just focus on what has brought us together this far, which is family, money, and retirement. So I'm very glad to share my thoughts around those.
Wow.
Yes.
And I like that you're clear. It's family, it's money, it's retirement.
Yes.
All the sticky things that people don't want to talk about.
Yes.
Here we're just going to go and dive right in, and we're going to get into this very uncomfortable conversation because Africans don't like talking about money, and worse still, they don't like talking about retirement. Yes. So when some people read your book, this is what they had to say. And I'm just going to dive right in to the first person who wrote a testimonial, and they have written a lot. They have so much to say about your book. And this is what they said. A very interesting book, highlighting aspects of career, investment, finance, success, and retirement. And so this person says that they want to share a few incredible takeaways. As a leader, master emotional and social intelligence. Things we didn't learn in school, because that's what helped them to lead themselves, to lead people, and to lead society. And then the other one, learn to define your identity outside of your job titles and responsibilities. Don't focus only on doing the bare minimum on the job, as this will limit your available opportunities. Instead, be eager to learn and understand the business and the market in which your business operates. Choose a workable investment and make it. Do not rely on the salary or government pension. Instead, they say that you have listed a few options in the book. This is what this person also says, that your wealth comes from your savings and not from your earnings. Manage recurring expenses as your income grows. Everything with you and how you make it is personal to you. So I think we forgot to say that the book is titled, This Life is Personal.
Yes.
Yeah. So no one size fits all. What works for you might not work for others. So all we do is to provide a blueprint for how you react or control it. The rest is up to you. And then I love this next one. Pay attention to the game-changing events, innovation, and movement around you to seize the opportunity and alter your approach. I think this book was written post-COVID.
Yes.
Who saw COVID coming? Who saw it coming? Some people got stuck there because they didn't have a script for COVID. So let me continue with the same person. And this is Joycelyn Kaika. She's an accredited arbitrator and a corporate transactions lawyer. That's why she has a lot of drafting to do. And she says, if you find yourself in a role or a station you don't like interdepartmental transfer, don't sulk. Instead, challenge yourself to do the job extremely well. You will eventually be noticed for another challenge, a good one this time. So Joycelyn also says, learn debt management skills. Not all debts are bad. And then develop a daily routine that touches on every aspect of your life. Always seek knowledge constantly. Love this one. Be teachable and hungry to learn. And then she says, stay humble, not popular. We are all, in one aspect or another, fools.
We are all fools.
And I wrap it up by saying that in your organization's hierarchy, the more senior you get, the more you should work on your exit strategy. And she wraps it up and says that this book blew me away. One of the best reads. I would recommend this memoir to everyone. So that was Joycelyn Kaika. Wow. Let's dive into how you know Joycelyn and your interactions with her and what chapter of the book she read to come up with this wonderful, amazing takeaways.
Wow. Joycelyn has captured quite a lot of takeaways from the book. And what I say about reading is that people will always resonate differently to different chapters of the book. And if you read Joycelyn's testimonials, she must be in the corporate, she must be in the corporate space. I know her. I worked with her when in one of the banks I was working in Tanzania. as a legal services manager. She moved on to corporate transactions advisor. And I think she has captured the takeaways in a manner that she feels she can apply them into her own life. And that is quite profound, because those takeaways, she must have captured them from different aspects of the book. And what I have done in that book is to share, because remember, we're talking about money and family and retirement. These things are intertwined. When you're talking about money, if you're in employment, then you must learn how to maximize your opportunities to earn more in your employment space. How do you position yourself?
Yes.
How do you make yourself competitive? How do you make yourself get noticed? Yeah, because I say in the book that the workplace is a marketplace.
Yep.
It's a marketplace where everybody comes to work and everybody has different products and services that they can offer.
Yeah.
And the consumers are the customers, and the internal and the external. How do you position yourself? So I think the takeaways that Joyce Lynn has captured on the corporate space about, focusing on your job, even if it's not a job that you would love to have, but focus on it, excel so that you're recognized and identified for better positions. In a way, we've shared a lot in chapter 9 on how one can position yourself to succeed in the workplace. Because Liz and I worked for over 2 decades in the corporate space. In banking, Liz worked in the NGO space.
Yes.
There are lessons we learned that really made us stand out. And we shared and we learned together. And we applied them and they worked. Those are the lessons that we share in the book. And I'm glad that Joyce Lynn has captured key takeaways from that. The subject of retirement and preparing, the higher you go in the corporate space, the more serious you should be thinking about your exit strategy. It's what we adopted ourselves. And if you read the book right from chapter 1 to chapter 2, where we've talked a lot about retirement and preparing ourselves, the constant question we've been asking is, at every stage, we're asking ourselves, if we are to stop working today, would we afford to sustain this standard of living? So those are some of the lessons that we shared. And I'm happy for Joyce Lynn that she has found those takeaways for herself from the book. Yes.
Joe, when you're talking, I see families hanging out on weekends and I look at them and I see that the higher you rise, the more you expand your lifestyle. But isn't it also true, and this is what you're saying here, that as you rise, you should be thinking about your exit? Maybe you speak to the families that have risen to the top of their game. And we know that we're in a post-COVID world where things change really quickly. What advice would you give to a family that are living at the top of their game? Would you then be able to advise them, like, is there a way that you can live life at exactly the same standard if the head of house, for example, went to the office tomorrow and they were told there's no job here for you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the question, actually, is the crux of the book. That we all get opportunities to work. We rise to top positions. We start businesses, whether it's consultancy or self-employment. We rise, we thrive. But the question is, if that source of income was to cut out today, would your lifestyle remain the same or would even get better? Yeah, and those are the lessons that we have shared in the book. And in fact, the more you rise in the corporate space, the more intentional you should be thinking about your exit. Because, you realize one of the things that you lose, I've shared in chapter 2,
Yeah.
I've shared the 3 fears
Yes.
of retirement.
Mhm.
One of the things that you notice you lose once you get out of your corporate space, the first thing is identity.
Yes.
The higher you are an MD, you're a director, you're a GM. So everywhere you go, you flash your business card. So your
Yeah.
business card becomes like your identity. The day you go to the office and you're told tomorrow, don't come back, who will you be? How will you be introducing yourself? How will you be? What will be your identity?
Yeah.
And these are some of the things that really make people fear the subject of retirement. Yeah. Social status also comes with our corporate identity. So because of your card, doors open, red carpets are rolled, VIP lounges are created for you.
Yeah.
When you're out of will you be able to provide for yourself that kind of lifestyle? And then the biggest loss, of course, is the loss of benefits, salary and everything else that comes with that.
Yeah.
So constantly as you live your day, and it's something that we were very conscious and intentional about with Liz. We're saying we are at this level. Our children are in these schools.
Yes.
Yeah, we live in these neighborhoods, we drive these cars. If today we stopped working, can we sustain this? And that question kept on, challenging us to devise different ways every year. We're asking ourselves, what do we need to do to bridge that gap? And it's a constant journey that you have to do on every year, every month. You set goals and you work towards getting yourself to be self-sustainable. And those are the lessons that we have shared in the book, and hoping that somebody else can pick an idea. And I like what Joycelyn has said. She captured some of the key takeaways there. And our way may not work for everybody, but we're saying we planned it, we executed it step by step. We have shared because the problem with Africa is we don't have many success stories being told, and people are not genuine enough to tell their story as it is and the struggles they have gone through. So in the book we have shared successes, we have shared struggles, we have shared the kind of beliefs that we have had to keep on challenging ourselves and working on and improving as we work towards that. Because it's a wholesome approach. It's a holistic approach. It's not just money or investment or family or work. It's a holistic approach that we adopted and worked together, and it worked for us.
What is it that is so scary about, for example, for men, and this is what I find men struggling with. You lose your job, you go home, and you don't say that you've lost your job. But suddenly, when the mortgage is due, it falls behind, you don't pick your calls, the wife gets the call, and she's told, you have not paid your mortgage for the last 6 months. So your wife finds out by accident because your mortgage is falling behind. What is it that is so scary about just going home and saying, I'm sorry, honey, but it's a post-COVID world. I lost my job. Is it a lack of openness? What is this secrecy about work and money?
I have had those stories, and for me, and that's why I really wish people would get access to this book and read. Because you see, at the end of the day, we all struggle with understanding this monster called money. It's confusing. Nobody tells us about it. Schools don't teach us about money. We are taught about careers and pursuing your passion and your dreams and all this. But nobody tells us, when you get out there, you are a career person, and you dive into the job market and you start earning money. What do you do with money? How do you behave? What kind of psychology is needed to manage money? And because we don't have those conversations, you find particularly men, and because we live in a patriarch society,
Yes.
so men tend to believe that they're the ones who, should provide, and the spouses shouldn't know where that provision is coming from. So long as there is food on the table and kids are going to school and rent is paid, nobody should ask them where they get. So you even have sometimes we even go for parents and students meetings. You realize there are even children who don't know what their parents do.
Yes.
Yeah, or even spouses who don't even know what their spouses do and how much they earn, because they never talk about these things.
Yes.
And that's what we are encouraging, because we are saying it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes.
There's need to be transparent, both parties, and even with the children involved, because sometimes we imagine that children don't understand what's going on, but they know a lot more than we imagine.
Yes.
When you sit down and talk about money, they also get to learn, because this subject is not taught in schools. The best place to learn about money is in the home.
Yes.
And if the spouses don't start talking about money, then you're losing a whole lot. And in the process, you end up becoming discordant, because everybody is pursuing their own aspect of what they think money should do for them. And yet, you're supposed to sit together, agree, set goals, have a vision, your money vision jointly.
Yes.
Yeah. What do we want to achieve with our money? At the end of it all, what do we want to look back and say we were able to achieve 1, 2, 3 because money enabled us to do this? And what are we going to do to increase our scale up, our money earning avenues?
Yes.
These things we don't talk about. And that's why sometimes when you read Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money,
yes,
he says something very profound. He says money relies more on psychology than finances.
Wow.
Money relies more on psychology than finances. So that psychology is what really disturbs most of the households. You don't get to sit down. So unless you have to work to a level of comfort where you can talk about money openly, and then you all work towards the same goal. If you achieve that, then there'll be harmony in the family. There'll be no fear of saying, I lost this, because everybody can see what's coming in and what's going out and where it's coming from. So there'll be no fear. If one source goes, you've lost your job.
Yes.
You sit to group and say, this one has gone.
Yes.
What can we do with what is left?
Yes.
If there is that kind of openness and transparency, then it makes the conversation easier.
Yes.
But we don't get to see that from what we are hearing, reading in social media and the news and the experiences people are talking about money. There isn't enough money conversations going on in our households. And I think that's where the biggest problem is.
I like something I read that you posted on socials recently.
Yeah.
You said that in your home, your dining table is the mentorship table. It's the conversations table. Yes. And you've just said that we don't really think that kids pick up on things, but they do. And so because kids pick up on things and you have roped in your children on conversations and you've made yours an open conversation in terms of these are not kids anymore. Your kids are in their teenage years now. Yes. And so the question, and you said we don't talk about this enough, and money is more of psychology than the actual hardware. Then my question to you is, what is this thing I'm seeing these days that parents are delegating their parenting? And you've decided, no, you are not going to delegate your role of parenting. You're going to sit down and have the hard conversations at the table. Is it about intentionality, or is it because you have decided to take your role as a father seriously without delegating everything that is meant to be done by you?
We decided to take our role as parents seriously.
Yeah.
Because we realize a lot of things go wrong from the home space. Miles Monroe, the late, said something very profound. He said, every social, moral, mental, psychological, and emotional problem can be traced back to the family. And that is very profound. Every moral, social, mental, psychological, and emotional problem can be traced back to the family. The kind of families we grow up in, and I think that's what most people don't understand, has a lot of impact in the kind of people we become.
Yes.
Because that's where the foundations are laid.
Foundation.
The values, the value systems, the beliefs, the stereotypes.
Yes.
You know, the kind of conversations that happen there. That's the foundation. Even money. That's where if you see the families that thrive, they are families that discuss these things openly and involves the children.
Yes.
And the mentoring starts from there. And it's passed on generation after generation. And that's why you hear people talk about generational wealth.
Yes.
You know, generational wealth is about packaging the values that have worked for you as a family and passing them on to the next generation. Wow. Yeah. So if you're able to do that, then you ensure there is continuity in whatever you build. And that's the challenge for families. So for us, when we sat, and I've given my background of where I've come from, you know, without a family, growing up in abject poverty, without any signs of hope. I share that intentionally because I know in Africa, in Kenya, many people go through the same struggles I went through. And that's the reason why I've shared. But then you flip it over and say, despite all that, you can craft your life and come up with a family setup that is desirable to you. You model it in a way that you think it can work. It takes a lot of learning.
Yes.
It takes a lot of personal development to do it. It takes a lot of self-mastery, you know, to go through. So you read books, you identify role models of people who have modeled the kind of family you want to set up.
Yes.
You know, you watch videos of success stories, read autobiographies and all that. It's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
But the intention has to be there. So it always starts with the desire. So you desire a model family and say, this is how we want to plan it. And for us, we said in our when our kids get to teenage years, let's be available for them so that we can guide, mentor. But it took a lot of preparation to get there. And that preparation is what we are sharing. And we are saying someone else who is desirous of having a family set up like ours or working towards early retirement like we did, then they can read through the book and pick some of the lessons that they think is applicable to them, and they can apply. And these are the things that we are saying. Yes, the intention, it has to start with the intention. As parents, that you want to involve your children, as spouses, that you want to work together, learn together, because life is a journey of learning. It's a lifelong learning journey. So whatever you learn, you share with your spouse. Whatever your spouse learns, you share, you know, so that, and then you share with your children and those around. And eventually you're all at the same level in terms of knowledge and aspirations. Then it makes it easier to move forward.
Wow. Wow. Let's go into the heart of the Masai Mara. And we have Moses Kagari. And Moses says, I finished reading the book yesterday. I am still in awe. I have learned a lot. I have been challenged greatly. Though life is personal, some of the ideas are worth emulating. I need to take like a 2 weeks break and reread the book. Very deep lessons that I would like to go through once again. You have captured your life very well. You have opened your life for us to see and to learn from. Say hello to Liz and your family. The guy is blown away. Like, what gave you the guts? And I think that's what many people are asking. What gave you the guts to open yourself up to the world. I think that's the scary bit that you need to tell us. What made you open yourself up out to the world, and the fact that your story has caught the attention of very important personalities in this country? Yeah, what is it that made you just decide, what, let's do this?
And I'm happy. I don't know Moses. I think he ordered the book via online, and he read it, and he got back to me. I shared my number on one of the shows, so people keep on sending me feedback, and I'm really glad and humbled that Moses found the lessons therein very valuable to him, and is willing to work. And that's the intention of the book.
Yes.
You see, if you read through, I really struggled as I was growing up to identify role models. I didn't have a father figure when I was growing up. I had an old grandfather who I would look up to. He died when immediately I finished class 8.
Oh, no.
I was left with my grandmother and my uncles in an environment that there is really nothing to look up to.
Yeah,
it's hopelessness. So I struggled to identify different role models as I was growing up.
Yes.
I think my first role model was a primary school teacher in the village. I loved his life. It was different from my life. I moved on. Later on, I acquired different role models in career, in family modeling. I think I gave an example of my father-in-law, Liza's dad, and how I admired the way he raised his family. So it became a role model, and also planning for retirement and seeing how. So after we retired, and the questions that we keep on getting, every time we talk to both of us are retired, every time we talk to our friends, and we are like, we are at home, we are retired.
Yes.
Like, you're kidding. You can't be serious.
Yeah.
So he said, look, let's put up our story together so that we share the steps and see whether it can help everyone. But I also shared my personal mission in chapter 2 of the book.
Yes.
And said along the way, early in my career, I had crafted a personal mission that said I want to become a role model in career, family, and business.
Yes.
And making positive contribution to my community. So the reason I crafted that, these were my struggles.
Yes.
I looked for different people. For career, I struggled to look for somebody else. Different people. For family, I got a different person. For business, you keep on. And I said, since we have packaged ourselves in all these spheres, and we have achieved, let me aspire. Now it's an aspiration.
Yes.
To become a role model on these 3 things.
Wow.
And I'm glad that some of the readers who are reading the book are actually resonating with that and saying we want to become like you. And that's the whole essence of life. Because as I said, life is a journey of discovery.
Yes.
And there are things you will discover that somebody else may never discover.
Yes.
If we tell our story on our discoveries of life, it may shorten someone else's journey.
Learning curve.
Or saying so and so did this and this. I laughed the other day. We were talking to one of the teenagers. I know the boys we talked, my friends, my son's friends.
Yes.
And he was like, the other day I was in this kind of situation, and it crossed my mind. I asked myself, what would Baba Ted have done? So he referred back to the book. So it's that kind of ideas that you share because you have learned.
Yes.
Somebody else may not have gotten an opportunity to learn it, but because you have shared, they have an opportunity to learn.
Yes.
And I really want to encourage as many people to write their stories.
There's something you've said, and I want people to get this really clear. You said that people call you and you're at home. I think this is the point at which you should talk about passive income Because there are people at home because they have no idea what to do. But you're at home because there's money working for you somewhere, and there is a system that there is an income. That's what I want you to talk about before we plunge into Fatma's testimonial.
Yes, thank you. So it's the whole aspect of retirement.
Yes.
You know, retirement, the traditional retirement is you work your entire life, get to 60 or 70 for some careers. And then after that, you sit back and the employer gives you a pension that can sustain you throughout your life.
Does it?
So it worked at some point. It worked during our parents' days, the generation, and they survived. Nowadays, things have changed. One, our pension institutions are not as reliable. Our employers, governments are not as reliable. So you have a generation of retirees who are really struggling, to even meet their day-to-day expenses. So the modern thinking of retirement is about financial independence. How do you get to a level as you work? You invest in income-generating investments so that when you stop working, your incomes from your passive investments, passive or quasi-passive, it's not entirely passive. There's some level of engagement, but minimized engagement. Then now they sustain you when you're out of work or when you're retired. So then that money that you have invested now works for you to sustain your lifestyle and any expansion that you... So we call them money trees in the book. How do you plant several money trees so that eventually when you're out of active employment, those money trees are generating money fruits that can take care of you in your retirement. So we're talking about investments, we're talking about savings, we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about income. There are 4 principles that we have shared in chapter 11. In chapter 11. And chapter 10, we have dwelt a lot on our thinking and philosophy around making money, saving, planning, which is having a plan for your money, and investing, and which kind of investments have worked for us. Because we watch a lot of information globally about quick riches, instant wealth, and all these on YouTube. But what we have done in this book is putting it in the context of our situation in our markets. What has worked for us. And if the readers are in this market, then they will resonate more with what we have shared. And maybe they can follow our investment path. And maybe probably it gives them a breakthrough.
So you said that was chapter 9.
Chapter 9, 10, and 11. We have dedicated those chapters principally to our mindsets on money, understanding this subject called money and how we have understood it. How to maximize your opportunities of getting money, and then summarizing it in chapter 11. On the 4 principles, which is a summary of 1, income. You must maximize your income earning capabilities. How do you do that? Whether it's employment, whether it's self-employment, consultancy, whether it's business, or whether it's innovation and invention of technology. We have shared all that, and hoping that somebody will get a light bulb moment after reading that.
So for me, I want to now go into Fatma. Fatma Saif is a corporate lawyer, and she has even written her testimonial partly in Swahili. That's how deep it went for her. But let me just start it off with English. Fatma says, Joe, I want to thank you deeply for the invaluable lessons that this book provides. And I must admit that most of us would have taken a long time or perhaps never, to encounter such profound insights without your guidance. Your book has truly sharpened my journey towards personal discovery and given clarity about something you've already said, mission. What is your life's mission and vision? Before I read your book, I had never written down my life's vision or mission. However, I've been recently on a journey of self-discovery since moving to Kampala. Your book has given me the courage to believe that maybe it's not too late to start drawing my life's roadmap. There were moments when reading that I felt sadness, especially when you shared stories from your childhood and raising your son. So your bravery is admirable, Pole sana, for the difficult times. And yet I found solace in reminding myself that these stories are now stories of the past. So you're going to tell us what she's talking about over there. I have taken so many notes of the book, including so much emphasis on the word intentional. You have repeated it in every important aspect, that we should be intentional when we want to do things. I have carried it with the weight that it deserves. The financial and business knowledge you've shared in the book is zaidi ya elimu. It is the kind of knowledge and the wisdom that is hard to find, and many people don't speak such truths openly. There we go again. But you've laid everything out so clearly. Ni sisi tu sasa kama tumeelewa au la. You know? Pia nitakirudia tena kukisoma. In other words, it's the same thing. Someone else said, and I'm sure the two people don't know each other. The corporate lawyer and the other person who says, I am going to take a 2-week out to just read the book. So what is she talking about here about your earlier years that were difficult?
I think she must have been referring to chapter 6, where we shared our journey from childhood and yes, chapter 6 and chapter 8. Yeah, so the whole lesson there is that success doesn't come out of lack of challenges. And we all have our backgrounds. Difficulty sometimes, some pleasant, some unpleasant, but we cannot change our past.
Yeah.
And I think she has captured it there, that she later got solace in understanding that is history.
Yes.
Now, we all have our histories. Yeah. But we have a choice to let our history define us forever, or we make a deliberate decision to change our destiny.
Yes.
So I have shared our crucibles, our challenges, some life-threatening,
yes,
in the book. But in the midst of all that, we still remained focused and came out eventually to achieve the goals that we have achieved. And I think that is the whole essence of life.
Yes.
It's authentic. It's a true story. It's not a fiction book.
Yeah.
The lessons shared are real, experiential lessons that we've gone through. The aspect of having a mission and a roadmap is critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we are saying this life is personal.
Yes.
Block yourself from all the noises and stop copycatting what everybody is doing.
Yeah.
Define your own roadmap and pursue it relentlessly.
Yes.
Intentionally. I think she has emphasized the word intentionality. Intentionality is about focus on your purpose and roadmap. Sunny Bindra says, I think there's something profound he wrote in his book, The Bigger Deal.
Yes.
That life is a meandering and meaningless junket if it lacks purpose.
Yes.
So purpose is very critical. why are you doing what you're doing? What is the end game? Yeah, and Stephen Covey, I think, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first habit is start with the end in mind.
End in mind, yes.
Yeah. So what is your end game in all these things that you're pursuing? And that's where the roadmap comes in, your mission and vision comes in. And we've seen it in the corporate space. There is no corporate institution that does not have a vision statement.
Yes.
A mission statement. It becomes a guiding compass. So if it's making organizations thrive, why can't we craft our own missions? Yeah, and repeatedly execute it ruthlessly. As my friend Nido Kuben says, it's not slow but surely, it's slowly and cumulatively. So you're executing it slowly and cumulatively over the period. And eventually you get to a place where you're saying it's been great. But it starts with the vision. It starts with the mission that you adopt. The lessons on business, anasema ni zaidi ya elimu. Yeah. We have shared quite a bit on our journey on business endeavors.
Yeah.
And truth be said, you will not make real money if you don't discover a good business to venture into. But the journey of identifying the good business to go, to engage in is a journey of many unknowns.
Yes.
And that's why many people shy away from engaging in business.
Yeah.
We have shared our experiences there and our lessons on our failures and why we failed.
Yeah.
And what lessons we picked. And our successes and why we succeeded and why we are succeeding now.
Yeah.
And that's why she's saying, Ian is idea elimu. It will probably have taken them a lifetime to discover. But we have been very generous, to be honest, to share, put openly our journeys on businesses. We've made losses. We've closed many businesses, several businesses before. We've lost money, but we have also made money.
Yes.
In the process. And if you talk to any entrepreneur, entrepreneurial journey is a journey of wins and losses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some you win, some you lose. Yeah. But you remain resilient. We've shared the critical aspects that you need to master and marshal in chapter on chapter 10, on running a successful business. Yeah. And these are real scenarios. But as somebody said, in business, you only need to be right once. You can be wrong many times.
Yes.
But the one time that you will be right is the time that now you will, take off and never look back.
Yeah.
Yes. So that once is what you must pursue. But with the lessons shared, maybe it can help somebody minimize the mistakes, some of the mistakes that we made and the lessons that we adopted.
Because we live in a country called Kenya,
yes,
and I'm sure this is something that a lot of people can connect with. For us growing up, if you're in your 50s, 60s in Kenya right now, the name Leonard Mudachi will probably ring a bell because of carnivore. And now Leonard Mudachi, I didn't know he's an old Cambrian. He's
He's our chairman.
Yes. Okay. So Chief Vision and Growth Officer, Branded Restaurants and Retail Africa Limited, and our podcast show host of the show JOYCE. So this is an endorsement. Now I'm reading an endorsement from the book because of the things that you've spoken about just now. The life of the African intellectual professional is fraught with unforeseen challenges and minefields. Many a time, it may feel to the African professional that they are perpetually operating in an unfamiliar territory as the global environment is neither designed by them nor for them. With this context in mind, any tools that build the confidence of the African professional and encourage them to tell their own stories and in the process, curating their own narratives and shaping the destiny of their own landscape are very welcome and should be encouraged. This book does just that, and that is something worthy of celebration. So we're just taking a moment there for, just to celebrate you, because we know, like you said, you can try 10 things and only that one thing works out.
Yeah.
And why not? Why not?
Thank you.
So I want to go now into a testimonial, someone who read the book after the book, and this is our public prosecutor. And I love what she says, because when we're writing books, we write them targeted to a particular audience. But here, public prosecutor says that this book is literally a book for all generations, all professions, all ages. And she says, I am thrilled by the practical lessons shared by the author regarding money. And this is what she says next. I mean, we are used to motivational speakers telling us how easy it is to be a millionaire. But the author here gives us the most realistic blueprint I have ever read. We learn how to make money, how to save, how to invest, but you have also shared your failures and your lessons during the journey of wealth creation. It is refreshing about how to create and build wealth legally. I love how he equally values family, because a lot of people sacrifice that to move ahead. Indeed, it does not matter where we all came from. We owe it to ourselves and our generations to build healthy and stable families. While people are so obsessed with broken families, Joe has taught us that it is possible to beat the odds and, have a steady, loving family while building wealth together. That requires a pause, because we all know how hard that is. Yes. And to the topic that scares people the most, the topic that scares most employed people, retirement. He has indeed given us a trick. We have no excuse but to retire happily. Gone are the days. Gone are the days. No more using old maps for new routes. Gone are the days of making our children a retirement plan. Last but not least, I enjoyed reading about his career path and growth. We can all be better than those who held our hands. And when we are at the apex, we should hold other people's hands as well. In short, the book is a gift to this generation, and it is my hope and prayer that it lands to more hands, because it has a lesson for everyone. Thank you, Joe and Liz, for this masterpiece. For those who don't know, the book has actually been written by a couple, you and your wife. Let's start from there. How did you even agree? Because this is what I'm hearing from Agatha Makazi. Kudos to you and your wife, because you sat together and you put together a masterpiece and dealt with the tricky, impossible conversations, family, money, retirement, and you're not fighting. You are in agreement. How do you put together a masterpiece and move from talking about it to writing about it to releasing it to get published? And why I ask this question is because I have so many people who start their journey but don't finish. What is the secret?
Very profound summary there from Agatha. As I say, when you're sitting down to write, you you have no idea how what you're writing is going to impact people.
Yeah.
But when you get such profound testimonials, it's quite humbling. It's quite humbling, honestly, to say the truth. She has summarized the key things in the book. And I think for her, because she's focused on business, the lessons, career, which we have shared, and investments, which we have shared, and she can relate with that.
Yeah.
And she's saying she's used to motivational speakers telling us about how easy to become an instant millionaire. And that's the tragedy of the world we live in today.
Yeah.
We live in an information economy, free information, knowledge economy. Everybody is free to say anything in social media. And many people are not genuine about how they make their money. They are not authentic. Yeah, so they will create a narrative and push it to you to create content. They are not telling you that they will actually make money from the content they're creating because you keep viewing there, you're attracted to it. Not that what they're telling you works. Yeah, and I think that's why she's finding the story real and authentic.
Yes.
Because they are tried lessons, and she can relate with them in the Kenyan context. So that's quite profound. Retirement and writing together.
Yes.
You know, I think it all starts with the togetherness aspect. Yeah. Once you harness that habit of doing things together.
Yes.
And especially because the biggest destroyer of families is money.
Yes.
If you're able to, because there is a reason why you come together in the first place. There is something that attracted both of you together.
Yeah.
The moment you allow money to put you apart, then you're losing focus. Always remind yourself what brought you together.
Yes.
What did you see in the first instance?
Yeah.
What did you make out of it? So that, and of course, if you incorporate the money conversations on your dining table and together with the kids, then it makes it lighter to discuss any other thing.
Yeah.
In fact, if you can agree on investing together,
yes,
yeah, then you can agree on any other thing. But it starts with the small things. Investing and money is a big conversation that you need to do it together. I think what we share in the book is that it has to start with the little things that you learn to do together. Small things like walking, eating together, walking while holding hands, saying I love you in the morning and in the evening, saying hello, talking to each other in the course of the day. They are small things, But the moment you get used to that routine of togetherness, it becomes easier to have conversations on the bigger things.
Yes.
On the bigger things. So that's what we have shared in the book. So even the whole idea of sitting and writing a book together, because we spend the day together.
Yes.
We sit here the whole day. The kids leave to go to school and other things. We are left with the two of us. The whole day here. So we can sync. It's easy to synchronize our thoughts, our ideas, and we write a chapter. She reviews, says, okay, modify here and there, and it turns out perfectly. And it's the same thing. It's not just the book that we have done together that we are proud of. All the other investments, all the other decisions we have made together along the way. And it makes that, I think the moment you cultivate that togetherness, everything else falls into place. Everything else falls into place.
So what I'm hearing, and I had read this earlier, habit. Habit. That success is ingrained in habits. Yeah. Let's go to the next person who says, Joe and Liz, I want to thank you for such a powerhouse. This Life is Personal blueprint for money, family, and retirement. I have just finished reading it, and it has deep and profound insights. I am so proud of myself. I like this person. I am so proud of myself. It's a great achievement for me, having read from the first page to the last page. I have been inspired, and I will keep thriving and recommend it to others to read. Let's hear about what her greatest highlight was. Having a personal mission, vision, and a plan to act. And what she really loves about your story, don't allow life's challenges and circumstances get in the way of life. You know, I aspire to have a happy ending in pursuit of my money goals and journey to retirement and family life. Thank you. God bless you. This book is a true guide in life concerning money, success, resilience, family, self-improvement, and a roadmap to retirement. I am truly blessed and empowered, and may God bless you, Joseph and Liz, together with your family. And, you know, I love who this has come from. A high school teacher, Ruth Binaiwa. She is just like blown away. And I love how she sounds intentional. I am proud of myself for having, you know, I love this one. Any comments about this? Because I love how genuine it comes out. It reminds me of...
It's quite humbling and moving.
Yeah.
So Ruth is a high school teacher. She also watched one of the shows, and she ordered for the book, and she read it. And she says she's proud of herself for reading from page 1 to the last page. And she must be. Yeah, she must be. Because, you know, majority of us, over 90% of people, start reading books they never finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, they say majority don't go beyond chapter 2. Yeah, so she has a reason to congratulate herself. And, you know, a lot of knowledge and wisdom and lessons are hidden in books. Reading culture is one of the habits that we need to cultivate in our people. Yeah, by the time somebody has sat and put together their story and share. So the author, for example, may not be able to meet everybody.
Yes.
And share the stories. Reading is one of the easiest way of having coffee with the author.
Yes.
And you can pick a lot from the book.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of Ruth, a high school teacher, who has again captured very vital lessons. And I can guarantee her that if she applies those lessons, in another 5 years, she will be talking of something else, a transformed life. Yeah, because it's what has transformed us. And if somebody can follow it through and implement and execute that roadmap, you know, with guidance, eventually you turn out successful. There's no reason why you should fail. And as she says, let's not allow our circumstances define who we become. Let's be intentional about who we want to become. And I think that's fundamental. And the last keynote saying she's pursuing a happy ending in her pursuit.
Wow.
It's the intention of the book that you know, it's possible to set all these goals, align them together, and have a happy ending. And success is about having happy endings in the goals that we pursue. Oji Mandino says, the writer of The Greatest Salesman in the World, says success without happiness is the worst form of failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, success without happiness is the worst form of failure.
Yeah.
So I like the aspect that she's pursuing a happy ending, because that's all that we are all pursuing.
Yes.
You know, to have a happy ending. In the end, at the end of the journey, you can look back and say, I made the impact I wanted.
Yes.
People are saying what I would have wished them to say about me as I lay to rest. That's everyone's goal.